Our first honoree this evening is Mr. HISHAM ELZANATY, a naturalized American citizen originally from Cairo, Egypt. He earned a BA at the Helwan University before coming to the United States. He is fervent about New York and particularly the borough of the Bronx and his blended communities from every corner of the globe and every walk of life. HISHAM is a man who demonstrates that building bridges trumps building walls. I say this because in 1993, HISHAM founded the Uptown Healthcare Management Incorporated, which presently owns and operates 3 diagnostic and treatment centers and is presently in the process of adding 2 additional Bronx locations. HISHAM and his family and his wife and children, they're passionate about making sure that the health of the people in our borough is intact. No matter what, you can create jobs, you can create housing, you can repair parks, you can educate someone, but if your health is not good, then what are we doing all of that for? He is someone who chairs the board at the Islamic Center in Midtown Manhattan. He is a board member of the Islamic Center of Long Island, and he is someone that we are proud to call a businessman, a healthcare provider, but more importantly, a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our first honoree this evening, Mr. HISHAM ELZANATY.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم. Bismillah. Thank you, Borough President Diaz. Thank you. I am both grateful and humbled by this kind acknowledgement that you bestow upon me today. In turn, I wish to thank you and congratulate you, your staff, and other members putting this wonderful and thoughtful and respectful event for our community. I have a great deal of appreciation for the efforts that you have shown to highlight the cultural similarities and the respect for the diversity that binds together as a greater New York, Bronxites, New Yorkers, and Americans. It means a great deal for me to participate in a public event sponsored by an elected official that recognizes the positive contributions of the Islamic community to the American fabric, especially during this period of introspection and at a time when we join in mourning the loss of 49 of our American LGBTQ brothers and sisters in Orlando. We join in prayers for the wounded, the families, and friends who also suffer, and for the healing. There is no justification nor adequate explanation for this atrocity. Our teachings embrace both the believer and the non-believer, but reject the hypocrites. We denounce and rail against the hatred that would undermine the greater American community and way of life. There are those who would attach our name to the evil that took place in Orlando. These days, there are unfortunately one too many politicians who have relied upon an ignorance and fear of Islam to perpetuate a division amongst Americans. There are those who would target us for exclusion, scorn, and hatred, and target us solely for their own gains and advantage. We shouldn't let that happen. One man in particular tries to use fear and ignorance to build walls of division. I was born in Egypt. My family was in the construction industry, and my people know something about building things and that survive the tests of the centuries. Let me tell you, walls that are built on a foundation of hatred will crumble. On the other hand, building bridges trumps building walls every time. That's right. Thank you. Many Muslim Americans will be afraid to be visible in the present climate, fearing that participation in the public sphere will draw unwanted attention to them from a frightened and frenzied mob. But this is not the time to hide. We must stand together against the hateful propaganda of a huckster who would try to treat us as less than any other American. Now more than ever, it is imperative for Muslim Americans to be visible, working to build bridges, publicly demonstrating our ongoing commitment to the American ideals of justice, equality, law, opportunity, and community. We must stand together with our fellow Americans against those who would marginalize any of us, against those who would demean any of us, our Americanism. We are a nation of immigrants and their dissidents who have come together to build a great country and join together as a great society. This blending of the cultures of the world and the valuing the rights of the individuals to forge their best destiny while working together for the common good, finally able to breathe free. It is the hallmark of America and the reason I love this country, this city, and this borough. Those fear amongst us, those fear-mongers who would try to build walls to drive divisions between us must be allowed not to succeed. It is un-American to try to splinter our communities. It is even written on our money, the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, from many come one. Real Americans come together in times of trouble and hardship to lift each other up, and Muslims Americans are real Americans. So again, I thank you, Board President Diaz, for standing up against those who would build walls and for shining a beacon upon the contributions of our community to our borough and to our city. I thank you for your recognition and for building bridges that bring our communities together as one Bronx and one New York, for helping to extend those bridges to the people of Orlando. And to all, I wish Ramadan Mubarak. وكل عام وانتم بخير.